You can see that down there? Not sure. Let me get you a light. Oil on the side of the block. Where's that coming from? I have no idea. Is there a... Where would oil be coming from down there? Well, things are about to get real today, at least somewhat real. Where we leave off last, we put some headlights and got all those working on the Jeep. Now we kind of got to get everything wired up to get it running. So that was the plan today, is to try to get this thing fired up, idling, test the cooling system, and then maybe move it forwards and backwards. Just to know that the clutch is working and things like that. So that's what I'm planning on doing today. But I've got a little bit of a task ahead of me. It's going to take some explaining, and somebody asked me to explain this in the comments, so I'm going to try to do that today. So what I'm going to try to explain to you is I'm going to wire up the HEI Distributor today. I'm also going to wire up the electric fan. Since I'm showing you guys this, I'll show you guys that and explain what I'm doing. So first of all, I've got new battery cables hooked up to the relay, and I've done some testing this morning, and I've got a... Oh, I need to tighten up that ground. I haven't done that yet. Let me knock that out while I'm looking at it. But I've got some testing done already, and I've got what I need kind of hanging out over there on the bench. So why don't we go over here and look at what we're going to be working with. So I'm going to be wiring up 2 relays today. And I had bought, actually, from Amazon, this 6-port relay setup. Now, I've already modified it a little bit, but let me explain what's going on. We'll start with the wiring for the distributor, the HEI. So, what a relay does is it takes direct power from the battery, kind of holds on to it, and then when you send a signal to it, it releases that full power to whatever you're working with. The reason that they're better than just a switch or something like that is because you're not going through a switch to provide current, you're literally going from the battery straight to your device. It's a cleaner signal. It's less amperage drop. There's other electronic stuff that I can't exactly tell you, but they're never a bad idea. Not when you're working with something that's going to take some high voltage, like your ignition, headlights, fog lights, air compressors, winches, all that kind of stuff. So most of you guys probably already know this, and you've probably been around the block to figure this out. But me being a dumb 16, 17-year-old, I used to just tap into other wires for other things. Like for the fog lights, I would just tap into the parking lights without going through a relay. So now that whole circuit's powering parking lights and the new fog lights on probably a very small gauge wire that's not supposed to do that. So I'm hoping that makes sense. So relays are important. And what are relays? Well, that's what these little guys are right here. And I'll try to pull this guy out. And this is the relay we're working at. So we're gonna use this as an example today and try to get some stuff figured out. But let me get you guys arranged here. This is the basic diagram that we're going to be messing with. And it basically tells us what we need to know. This literally is a picture of this. And you can see that there's one prong that's kind of straight up and down. The other ones are kind of parallel, perpendicular to each other. So if we look at that, we're matching it up. If you look on here, I don't know if the camera's going to show it or not, but there's actually numbers. And I can barely see them. And you've got 87, which is matches 87, 85, 85, 30, 30, and 86 over here. By using these numbers, we can figure out how to wire up some of our stuff. Now, we can plug this in to our relay box, right? And we plug it in or whatever. If we're looking at this, we are not correct anymore. So when you're wiring these things up, if you look at it this way, this is 87 and this is 30. But now this, and if we look at our right here, is 85 and this is 86. So when you're looking at this stuff, make sure you flip it over like you're looking at the relay itself. Hopefully that makes sense. From there, it's not too big of a deal, at least for the HEI distributor. It's exactly what it says. We're going to run 85, which is this black one right here. Fell out, right? This black one would run to the ground. Then this orange one right here actually goes to the HEI distributor. This yellow one right here is 86, and it would go to an ignition source, basically meaning when we turn on the key, this would get power, and then this goes to your directly to your battery. Usually, this has a fuse inline, which is your 30. So main power is always directly away from what you're trying to turn on. So these two are right away from each other, right? And then this is what we're going to call a 12-volt signal. So instead of using a ground to trigger this, we're going to use positive wire to send to this. So what does that mean? That means that we need to make sure this is hooked up to the ignition switch. When we turn it on, your key, it receives power. Now, what's super important about all this is that when you're working with a distributor, an ignition system of some sort, you have to make sure that it has power while you're cranking the engine and while you're not cranking the engine. Because if it only has power when you're turning the key on and when you flip it over to start it, well, it's not going to crank up. There's not going to be any power going to it. So I'll show you guys what that means. But let me introduce to you something that a lot of younger kids, or some other people actually, are not aware of. And this is called a test light. And you can get this at any auto parts store. Even Walmart carries these. And what you do is you take your prong, whichever circuit you want to test. We're going to test for a positive circuit. So we're going to take our alligator clips and hook them to the ground side of our battery. Then anytime you touch something with power, guess what? It lights up. It's an amazing, amazing device, right? We can test power for stuff like this. We can also go the other way around. Do we want to test the ground? Then we hook it up to our alligator clips and we find a ground somewhere. Let's see if we can find a ground. Look at that. There's a ground right there. Right? So that's pretty important. And that's how I'm going to find out where the ignition source that I need to start this Jeep is. I actually already found it. And you guys can test different wires. Usually you can take the positive wire from your coil if you're doing something like this and loop it around and test that at least. You could test that positive wire if you're going to do that, because we're getting rid of a coil with the HEI. That would totally work. But I don't know. My harness is not amazing, but I have found this wire right here, and I'm going to kind of cheat. You do have to be careful with this. And I'm going to stick it right under this carburetor like that. And there's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the key on. And look at that. It's lighting up because the carburetor is grounded, right? When you're doing this, make sure your positive wire is not touching the ground. You guys should know that. And now I'm going to hit the key like I'm going to start it. You see how that stayed illuminated while we were starting the key? That's very good. Let me show you what it's not supposed to do when we're trying to find an ignition source. I have found another one in here. Let's see if I can get to it. I think I did. Turn it on. Look at that. It illuminates. Now I'm going to go to start it. Right? It falls off. So that would be a bad place to put the distributor for the signal wire. So hopefully that makes some sense to you guys. If you're kind of new to this, I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. From there, I know that I'm going to use that wire right here as my ignition source. So I'll be tapping into this when I get ready to hook up my HEI distributor. So that's kind of the overrun on that. Now the fan's a different story. We're going to do a little bit something different on the fan, and let me show you what I got cooking over here. With the fan, I'm going to be doing a ground relay. And we're actually going to kind of flip this stuff around. So when we were looking at the HEI distributor over here, we're looking at it this way. Now we're going to be looking at it another way. And I found these diagrams online, and I'll try to post them in the video or something so you guys can really take a look at them. But now we're going to be looking at this where we put the thing upside down, just because that's how they have it configured here. So upside down, this is 30. This is 87. This is 86, and this is 85. So now let's look at our switch again. Instead of using a power positive source to switch on this relay, we're going to use a ground. And we're going to use a switch that goes in line, or it goes in the water neck. And when it hits a certain degrees, that switch activates a ground. And that's what's going to kick on our relay. But what we're going to do is we're going to run this to our switch, which this is going to be, what is this, 86, I believe. Yep. I went ahead and drew a little diagram to help accompany you guys with this. So now we're going to be looking at the relay like this, where 30 is at the top. So 30, 86, 87, and then 85. And here's our connector. I've flipped it over upside down so it's corresponding as well. And now we're going to run it a little different. So we're going to run our bottom wire, which is our orange wire right now, straight to our power wire for our electric fan. Then we're going to run, which would be 86, this yellow wire to an ignition hot source. It would be different than the other ignition hot because we don't want it on that starter circuit. So that second thing that I tested, where it turns off when you hit the starter, would be a perfect source for it. Your 30 still goes to your battery, but now instead of using just the ignition source to trigger the relay, we're actually going to send this to the switch. That's going to be the thermostatic switch. That's going to be on the engine, on the water neck. And I'll show you guys that when I get it. I actually don't have it right now. But this would go there. So this would not have a ground until it reaches a certain temperature. When it reaches a certain temperature, it kicks on the ground. Everything's happy. It'll turn the fan on. Things to make note of. Again, this has a fuse in line for 30. So that's kind of normal. Now, what I did is I bought this 6-gang relay box. So it does have fuses here. All of these wires right here are all red power supply wires. It all goes to the number 30 ports on these relays. Then you can see these small little gray wires. They go all to the ground. And then you have different wires. So for this one, if we look at this blue one, this one is going to be 87, and it's like going to go to our electric fan. And this small blue one is going to be our trigger wire. So once you kind of have this concept in place, this will make sense. But one thing I wanted to show you guys is all the power wires go into this bus, and none of it gets power until you put a fuse in it. So I'm hoping that makes somewhat of sense. It's not real clear when you just watch it, right? You kind of have to get your hands on it, play around with it, figure it out. There's a lot of this stuff online as far as diagrams and things to that extent. Again, I'm going to try to put this in a video here over the next 30 seconds, and you guys can pause it to take a good look at these things. And yeah, if you're not looking at these relays, fast forward for 30 seconds. And I'm going to mount this stuff up and we'll get cooking. So here we go. I've got some things wired up. I've got the ignition wired up. Don't worry, we're going to be routing this differently. I've got the electric fan wired up. I actually do have the ignition on right now, so when I ground this dude out, it should turn on the fan. So that works. So that's good. And I got the ignition wired up. So I'm going to try to start it. I've got fire extinguisher over there. I've got some things. I think we'll be able to get this thing going. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Heck yeah. It's a little cold. The exhaust is nice and quiet. How cool is that? I don't think I have gauges because I have the wrong oil pressure sensor that I'm gonna have to change out, but hey, look at that down there. Getting a little hot, got some oil on it or something. Oh, it's leaking good. I don't need it to get hot right now anyway, but look at that. A lot of oil spewing out of something down there. Where is that coming from? Huh. You can see that down there? I'm not sure. Let me get you a light. Oil on the side of the block. Where's that coming from? I have no idea. Is there a... Where would oil be coming from down there? I don't know, but it runs. That's what I was trying to do today. I don't like that oil dripping out like that because it gets real hot right there, as you guys can see. Man, that looks like fresh. Yeah, that's like fresh. Where on earth can it be leaking from? Because it's not leaking from the valve cover. I don't know where else it would be leaking from because I don't think there's any oil things down here. Interesting. Huh. All right, well, hey, we're on to something. I'm going to probably put some coolant in it. And we'll have to see how fast that leaked out because that's pretty crazy. I may spray that down with some brake clean and fire it up again and see where it might be coming from. It might be coming from a bolt or something if these bolts go into oil galleys. So I don't know. We'll have to check on that. But hey, sounds pretty good. The exhaust is nice and quiet. But I'm baffled at that oil leak. That's weird. It's real weird. I think that's just some residual going on there. Hadn't ran in a long time. So we'll have to see. Just stop smoking. Smoking a lot. I wonder why. Still smoking a whole lot. That doesn't make any sense. This is what the other one did that drove me nuts. And I don't have the faintest idea why. I think I'm just gonna have to let it run. Let it burn off whatever's on there from whatever has been going on. And when I cleaned it up, all the grease, all the stuff like that, I'll keep the fire extinguisher handy. Let me see if I can find my radar gun for the temperature, because I don't know if I have that or not. I don't know. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna fire it up and try to be patient with it. Let it run, let it smoke, let it do its thing, and go from there. I think that's all I can do. Seems to be getting better. I hot wired the fan, so it's on. We do have a temp gauge now. It was a little hot earlier. Spewed a little water out in the ground. I forgot to turn the fan on. It's not doing that now. Having a little bit of trouble getting the idle back down. Might be a little bit of a throttle shaft leak in that carburetor. But let's see. Let's see if it moves front and back. All right. That'll be it for tonight. I'm just gonna let it run a little bit longer. Smoke's going away. It's running pretty good. Wonder if I have a vacuum leak somewhere though. That's awesome. It's really, really awesome. Worried about this getting too hot, but it seems okay. We'll have to watch that. Might have to get a metal one or move it to the other side just to keep it away for some things. But yeah. All right. Definitely has an exhaust leak somewhere. That's what that ticking is. But I think that's pretty common for these things, so I'll deal with it. Let's see if it diesels. I tried to turn it off a little bit ago and it dieseled. Nope, didn't that time. All right, well, guess I get to play with it some tomorrow. That's pretty cool. Let me show you what we got kicking. I've got carburetor figured out. I've done a little bit of adjusting. I've got the choke opened up now permanently, so I don't have to use a screwdriver anymore. Got the air cleaner on it, little black Holly air cleaner. It does the job. I like it. We set the timing to 10 degrees, basically at idle, without the advance. And that really, really helps some things out as far as like that carburetor backfire stuff that we were having. So I messed with the idle bleeds on the carburetor. Now it's pretty happy. So let me give it a couple squirts. Hit the key. Look how good it runs. It runs so good now. From all of that, I've also got, this is the temperature sensor switch that we have in place now. This is, like I said, it's from a 4-liter fuel injected motor. And it has a 3/8 NPT fitting, so I was able to adapt all the switch, which grounds at like 170 or something like that, or 180, and then it'll turn the fan on automatically. I've cleaned up the wiring a whole bunch, as much as I could at least. It's not perfect, but it's much better. It's not so chaotic. Yeah, so now now we just got to put the Jeep back together. Literally, that's kind of what I have to do. Got bumpers, taillights, all kinds of different things that that need to happen. So I'm gonna let it run for a little while, make sure the fan kicks on. I'm gonna clean up in here because I've got to start moving this thing. And well, there's a swap meet this weekend, and I'm debating taking the Jeep to the swap meet to see if I could sell it. However, I kind of hope I don't sell it because I want to enjoy this thing and I think it's pretty neat. So maybe I don't take it. Maybe I take something else. I guess we're gonna find out. So yeah, going good. Little Jeep Lego, it's doing its thing. Really starting to enjoy this thing now. I almost forgot. We got an oil pressure gauge that works now. So that's working. Voltmeter's working. I know the coolant temp works. So yeah, we got all the gauges now. So that's really cool. I don't know how to get the brake to shut up unless it's has to do with the emergency brake over there because it's manual brake. So, but hey, we got gauges too. Well, it's a few days later, and you can see the Jeep is still here. That means I did not bring it to the swap meet like I had said earlier. I am not ready to sell this thing yet. It will be for sale eventually, but I'm getting it legal tomorrow, actually, and it's going to be on the road for the first time in who knows how long legally. And I'm really looking forward to that, to actually getting some miles on it and working out the kinks and stuff like that. I can't wait to show you the whole thing. It's really, it looks so great right now. It's come a long way, so there's been a lot of work on this thing. But you'll have to see that on the next video. This one, I decided, why don't we just stop it here? Before I go, real quick, let me let you know one thing. This did not work. This is the temperature sensor that's supposed to kick on the fan at like 180 degrees or something like that. This configuration does not work. I don't think the probe gets far enough into the stream of the water, of the coolant, I should say, and so it doesn't pick up the temperature well, and it never closed the circuit, so it kind of just got hot that time I was trying it. So right now I just have the electric fan hooked up to an ignition hot, so it just turns on when I turn the ignition on. And I have grounded it somewhere temporary for now till I find another type of 3/8 temperature switch that I think will work. So that's just an update real quick on what's going on with that. I don't want to mislead you guys and say that worked perfect, because it didn't, unfortunately, but it does run really well. I've got some more tuning on the carburetor that I've gotten taken care of, and I just can't wait to start driving this thing around and enjoying it. So I'm not really a Jeep guy, but I'm enjoying this one. Am I going to be converted? I don't know. Probably not. I like hot rods and stuff better, and trucks. But this is really cool. So thanks for coming along. If you've enjoyed this series, we've got about 1 or 2 more videos left. And we'd love to have you hang out with us until we get old Lego here taken care of. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We'd love to have you. If you are subscribed, thank you guys very much. You guys mean the world to us. I hope this video was helpful on how to kind of get some stuff wired up if you're working on any kind of ignition project and relays if you're not familiar with them. And if it is, let me know. I'd love to know if this helps you out or not, or if maybe I should try to change the way I do the videos up a little bit. We'll see. We got a lot to do this year, is what I'm saying. So check us out on our social media at The Racer X Garage on Instagram and Facebook. And I do have some merchandise you can pick up at racerxgarage.com. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next time. Until next time, y'all be good.